Hi, Professor Bembo. My name is Miracle Rider. As doing our first assignment of the class, uh, just doing the background and just talking about ourselves. And in this video, so I'm gonna be introducing myself in a little bit about my background and my religions and where I'm from. Mm, my current age, I'm 19 years old. My birthplace, I was born in Monrovia, Liberia. Is my birth city. And my birthplace, well, it's the same place, but I was born in Monrovia. I wouldn't know how to answer the question. Is it urban, real or suburban community? Well, being like I was raised in half and half, so I was raised like I lived in Africa till I was 10 years old. Then we moved to the States. So within that, like growing up, we started like for where I was living at first. My mom was the first like ever like they started a community in like the town in like the part of Monrovia, because my country wasn't really like as developed as it is today. So where we were living in Monrovia, my mom was the first to start like a community, like until people started moving in and stuff like that. So you can say we started like a little suburban neighborhood. If you want, you can go with that. Current job, I currently work for my dad construction company. Um, I like build houses, and so I know how to roof and stuff like that. So if anything happened to your house, if you need somebody to work on it, you know who to hit. Just hit your bow up. So I'll fix that shit up. I'll fix that up for you. I'll fix it up and I'll be looking nicer. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, bah, bah, bah. But now, besides the point, I work for my dad construction company. Well, he's not really my dad. He's my godfather, but I just call him Pops. He's my nationality. I am African, black, simple as that. No, nothing, not anything. My experience or gender, I identify as male, black, strong black male. That's who I identify as a black male. My religion, I'm a Christian. Um, uh, my I don't know why I'm stuttering, but I'm a Christian. Basically, my whole entire siblings' names are from the Bible. So you got Miracle, Angel, Faith, Prince, Praise. And so well, yeah, nah, that is that. So that's our. That's my religion. I'm a Christian. I think you are. I don't know, but I'm Christian. Mm. Prejudice. I'm on identifying how do you define the following terms without researching or looking them up. Perfect. Prejudice. Uh, well, being a black man in America, it's just like there's so many. It just I really don't know how to answer most of these like terms or most of these just like for example discrimination is just something that just goes on. It just been going on throughout for years on out. Like it is one of those things that just been going on for a long period of time, and people just are ignorant when it comes to stuff like that. Like especially when it comes to like white privilege. Like if we can sit here and talk about white privilege and talk about like some of these terms that you have on here, and like talk about like prejudice, discrimination system, we come big tours and was white privilege bias, an opportunist. I mean bias and all this stuff like that. It just space, like all those terms, it depends on like the development or neighborhood you're living to experience all those kind of stuff. Like, especially I was lucky because when we first moved to the States, it was just one of those things where like, I was lucky to be like moving a whole nice development and a nice like, like suburban slash country area to where like the people were more welcoming and more like amazed on like there are like it's not just like being knowing somebody from Africa, but when we're getting to know somebody that knows a lot about the country instead of like like some other places you will go, people just be like biased or like not accepting you for who you are, and just like because they're like a different skin color or and other stuff like that. So like they're not gonna try to get to know who you are, or like like your past or your religion. So I was lucky, like I said earlier, I was lucky because not a lot of people experienced that, went through some of the experience I've gone through, like bias. Like I've been pulled over a few times, for being a black man. I've been scared for my life, a few times, like and I've been in a car where like I wasn't driving and my buddy was driving. He was white and he was the one that got pulled over. I was just being a passenger. I wasn't doing anything but just sitting in the car with my seatbelt on. And if you want to say, I talk about white privilege, and I was getting questioned by the cops, and he was the one what I was driving with the broken tail light, but I was getting questioned because I was just being black and just sitting in the car. Like there wasn't questioning him, not at all. There wasn't even going to the point where they were sitting there questioning him or anything like that. No, they were like just asking him that simple questions, like where you going tonight. Didn't ask for his date of birth. The only thing they asked for was his driver license and insurance and registration. Common to me, cause, or let me ask for his date of birth, because his date of birth was on his driver license or whatever the case may be. But come on to like me, I'm just sitting in a car. It was at night. I'm just sitting there quietly. I'm trying to go home and sleep, but the cops come over, started flashing the flashlight in my eye, and be like, "Where you guys going?" I was like, "We're going to Sheets to grab food, and then go home because you have a driver license." I said, "Well, me being me, I started being smart. I started being a smart ass, and I was like, why do I need my driver license for? I'm not driving." And he goes, "Sir, do not be a smarter." And it's just like the smarter thing, the smallest thing. And it was just like I was being questioned when I wasn't supposed to be being questioned, because I was just in the passenger seat. I wasn't doing nothing and stuff like that. But I was in, that's called like, that's just one of that when you want to say and talk about white privilege. And that's one of those things where like that, shoot, and other stuff like that. So there's and other stuff like that. And for me, we can talk about a lot of things. We can sit here and talk about all of them, and it's just how people just can be prejudiced and discriminate to one another and all this stuff like that. And we talk about like there's no reason for people to just sit there and just hate another person just because of their skin color, or just because of who they are, or like where they're from, or it's just one of those things that people just gotta have common sense. It's just learn that everybody are equals. It don't matter if you're Bill Gates, or it don't matter if you're like the the it don't matter if you're homeless or not. It just, you just gotta be treated equal no matter who you are, and people just don't understand that. So people being biased, prejudiced, and all those stuff like that, it just like hurts to see that the way people can treat one another, and just like act like somebody is just another atom, or just something that they don't care about. And that is not the case. The case is that we all should be treated equal, and for for us to have like not the same DNA but the same blood, but yet another person which is a different color is treating another person which is another different color, like so different. It just hurts to see that, and it just sucks, because at the end of the day, people should be should be welcome. People should be welcome with open arms, and people should be accepted for who they are. No matter if you're gay, straight, you know, or white, black, brown, yellow. It's just you should be accepted for who you are and who that person is it shouldn't be no question, no discussion. When and how did you first learn that there were different race and ethnic group in this country, and when did you become aware of people being treated differently because of their race, gender, and sexuality? Well, all my life, and stuff like that, I've known and learned from the news, especially being a young kid. Well, being from Africa, I didn't know. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like right now, coming from Africa, the only type of people I knew that existed in this world, because we didn't have like all this electronics and all this stuff like that, was white and black. I didn't know there was Hispanic. I mean, I knew there was Chinese people, but I didn't know there was like different type of Chinese, and there was like different type of like white, like But yet, I didn't know there was Mexican people. So I learned that I learned all this when I didn't learn all this, but I mostly learned that well, I didn't know what was gay was when I used to live in Africa. I mean, I was 10 years old. I didn't care for like I was growing up. I didn't care for being gay or straight or whatever the case may be. All I knew was there was like straight. I didn't know though. I didn't know gay was such a big thing in the United States. So I moved to the States, and I was growing up, I didn't pay attention to that until I got like later into my middle school years, and I started understanding and paying more attention and other stuff like that when I got into sports more, and I started mostly started paying attention to the news and stuff like that. And things I've learned over the years and throughout high school, middle school, in my second year of college now, and things I've learned is that uh, you just one of those things that you just gotta be accepted of. You just gotta understand. You can't just be like, you know, close minded. You gotta be open minded to every opportunity and every, situation and everything single outcome there is. So how I first learned was like, at first it was, being in high school. I learned from that no matter who you are and no matter where you're from, you're always gonna be like you're always gonna be an outcast, and there's always gonna be somebody outcast in your group. So you should not, just push people off because of them being different and stuff like that. So what I learned that the difference between race and equality was like, back when I was in high school, uh, it was it was so weird because when I was in high school, I was a big like I was a four sport athlete in high school. I played football, basketball, and lacrosse, and did track back in high school. It was weird because I wasn't even American at the time. I didn't get my citizenship till later on in my high school years. I was still like I was an outcast. I was like I was different from most of my friends. Yes, like I call them my friends, but I was different. I was African in like trying to find myself like going throughout middle school and high school. It was just like weird because I was treated differently. Like I was always treated. I knew why I was treated differently because I didn't fit in. Like I know I went. Yeah, I was in an all suburban neighborhood, but I was one of a few black people that went to my school that you know they didn't really because they were already had their friend group. So for me to come in and I was being because I was from Africa. Nobody wanted to be friends with a kid from Africa who didn't know how to speak English, who didn't have the right, didn't have the right grammar, and they just didn't know how to talk. So I was an outcast. I was treated differently, and everybody automatically assumed that being from Africa and being like living like in a third world country that we wasn't as like developed as the United States, or we just like we live in huts and stuff like that. So because of that, I was treated differently because of my race and because of where I was from, and I was being treated differently, and I was like it was hurtful. I didn't fit in until I got into sports. Then people started treating me differently because I got into football, basketball, track, and lacrosse, and people started saying that, oh shoot, he is like, he's this good, like he's this guy, he's this guy. So like, let's just try to be friends with him, and like, because of who he is. And it's just like, I was being treated different than when I first moved here. I was being treated differently because I was being treated as a kid like who didn't know how to, you know understand English and understand how things works in the United States, because I just moved from a whole different country to a whole another country, because I just moved from a third world country. And for me it was weird because people automatically assumed that, I wasn't gonna be successful. I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know like how was the outcome and other stuff like that. So it just like all my life I just been like, it just been like bias. It's just been every single, terms like you have on me. It's just like I just been fighting like through it my whole entire life. I just never let it bother me, and I never let it, hold me back from accomplish becoming who I want to be. And just like for people out there like holding back and like and being racist and being biased and like and not being accepting of who other people are, is just not acceptable. And it's just not fair. And if you sit here and watch the news, and the news just don't even help, because the news don't even like talk about what's going on, and don't even like go over what is being going around the world. Around the world. Oh my god, I said that like 3 times back to back. That was crazy. And it just don't feel right for another human being to treat another human being because of who they are, and because of what they are and who they want to become. And because of that, I don't think it's fair that other people should be treated that way. I really don't think it's fair for people to be treated any kind of way. Being well, as a black person, as a black man in the United States, and I'm big on family person. I'm really close to my family, and my family, like, without my family being part of my life, or without my family just being there and like guiding me through this, especially like the pandemic, and like, and just like stuff that's going around the world. It's just like it's just big on family, and especially the community I grew up in. Like just said, like the community. My mom, she started traveling back to Africa and other stuff like that. So one of this coach stepped up to have my little brother lived with live with him and his family, so that my little brother could be able to go to school and play sports and stuff like that, because my mom was traveling back and forth from Africa, and other stuff like that. And it's just one of those things where it's just one of those things where that, the community stepped up and, you know put a big hand around my family and just help my mom and my little brother, because he didn't want to like move out, and he wanted to stay with his friends and stuff like that. One, so two, what makes you feel comfortable with people to define the your closest friend? Well, as I'm sitting here like answering these questions and reading it and doing the video, I'm just going back and just answering some of the questions I missed, or stuff like that. As for me, I'm a very open person. I don't care who you are. I don't like, at the end of the day, if you're a nice person and caring, that's the kind of people I want in my life. If you just a complete jackass and a dickhead to everybody you see, just because you feel the need to be like a dickhead, then at the end of the day, I don't want anything to do with you. And my closest friends are like the people I've been with, and attending Shippensburg. Those are the people I can call my closest friends, because ever since I moved on campus, ever since like the first ever ASB program I ever came to on campus, it's just like I just made a connection, and just one of the reason why it's one of the reason why the coming to ship was a no brainer to pick another college, because attending ship was just one when I was back in like 10th grade was like on my list. It was like third on my bucket list, or something like that. And me coming to ship and like learning and understanding what's going on, and just understanding what's going on in life, and them and the university being a big part of my success story is just amazing, and it's just crazy. I haven't really thought, like, I really haven't really like thought about like my race being like a, like as a problem, or as a you know big big thing. Like being a black person, I like my color. I like being black. I like the fact that I'm a black person and from Africa and living in a whole different country, and getting to teach other people their experience, and getting to show other people and tell other people that what the news is putting out there about black countries and like Africa, especially Africa, what the news is putting out there. It's in like it's not all you have to believe. It's not like it's not all to it. The only way the only way you can get to understand what's going on around the world is by traveling, and like actually being there, instead of sitting on your couch every single morning watching the news. Because what if they're not telling the truth? I mean, sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Like for an example, my sister, like my godfather, granddaughter, which I call my sister, travel. She went because she just graduated high school, so for her, she said she always wanted to travel to Africa to see what people are going through and stuff like that. So she traveled back to Africa, and as she was there for a month and like 1 week. She was there for like 6 weeks or something like that. 6 or 5 weeks, I don't know. And she she when she came back, I went up to pick her up from the airport. She was telling me she learned a lot from just being in that country. She learned that that us, like that people that live in America take things for granted. She goes like people over here, like parents over here, are like not even giving their kids the benefit of the doubt of like being like learning and expecting how to work for yourself. She goes, I travel back there, and I understand. I see kids not even my age or out, like trying to like help their family, like succeed and other stuff like that. And she said, I come to the United States, I just see like kids yelling at their parents, or kids being disrespectful in school, or kids being like they're throwing food out, throwing food to waste, or like doing this and doing that they shouldn't be doing, but yet they think it's cool to do. But in other countries, especially Liberia, she goes, I'll never take anything for granted. She was telling me, she goes, ever since I've been back, she goes, I've my whole entire mindset when it comes to life is different. She goes, I want to be successful, and the only way to be successful is to go out there and not put people down, or not treat people like dirt, and actually let people in and be accepting for people who they are, and not judge people, and just always be happy, always have a smile on your face, never look back, never have anything, never let any little thing ruin your day. Because if you do that, then you're just gonna turn into a grumpy person. If you turn into a grumpy person, you're just gonna be mean, no matter to people. And if you're mean to people, you're just gonna come out as a big jerk and a racist and other stuff like that when you're mean to everybody. So she goes, that I've never learned, like something I've learned, and I'm never gonna take anything for granted again. She goes, being in the United States, when you guys first moved, people didn't accept you for who you were and stuff like that. She goes, when I traveled there, I wasn't even living in the country. Like I wasn't even moved to live in the country. She goes, people accepted me for who I was. It's just not because of, oh, I'm white, that I was gonna be like, she was like, no, she was like, they accepted me. She's like, when I first ever landed in the country, people were giving me a hug, like, are happy that I was in the country and other stuff like that. She goes, I never seen that. She goes, I traveled. She goes, I've been to like different state, and I never seen that people are so welcoming like she was. Like she goes, it's not like the same as living in the United. She goes, being in the United States is different, And she was telling me that. I said, well, I'm so happy for you that you traveled to that part of the world, and like, learn a lot about yourself, and a lot about, that, you know not a lot of things are being taken for granted. So I'm super stoked for you. And then her and I was just we just got into it, and we just like talk about. But she is white too, so she goes like she's good. Then we're talking about like the racism in this country and all this stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I'm not even gonna get into that. But as a little bit of background on myself, and it's just like I'm one of 5 kids. Um, just, just the end of the video, and about to end the video and stuff like that, because I already went over and talk about a lot of this stuff that you asked for. But a little more bit background about myself. I'm one of 5. I'm being raised from a single parent home. My mom is like Superman to my family, because she does everything literally. And both of my brothers go to IUP. My sister go to Hershey, and my blood brother goes to E Town. I'm from like Lancaster area. Uh, I'm a big on. I'm an athlete, so you could never. I'm not a more of a book person. I wouldn't say I'm a book person. I wouldn't say I'm stupid either. I can be smart when I want to be, but I can be a little slow when I want to be too. But it's just like I'm a real an active person more than staying in and not doing much. I'm an active person. I like being active, and I just like doing things outdoors and other stuff like that. But I'm also a funny person. I just like making sure that people are okay and other stuff like that. And something I'm you know really excited about this class is that because I want for my major to be social work. I want to be able to help people in the long run, the same way people help me in my time of need. I want to be able to do the same for other people, and just be there for people. So that's taking this class and understanding there are other ways to help, and there's other, like, the things that more understanding that the world and the news are not talking about. And I hope that taking this class will open my mind, open my eyes to, like, what this class and what this lesson and this semester has to offer when it comes to taking the class. So that is something I'm really excited about. So let's get to it.